This is one of her worst outfits ever. What is happening? Why did she decide to wear pajama pants out of the house? What was she thinking? I can't. A nightmare. Hi everybody, welcome back to another fashion edition. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's bonus video / fashion edition. This week we are taking a look at Meghan Markle's day 1 on this Colombia vacation because already we have 3 outfits with lots to discuss. So for their arrival, we have a much more polished presentation than we have become used to coming from Meghan and Harry. This looks a lot more professional and put together and tailored than typical for the both of them. So that is a positive. But there's more to this than first meets the eye. Couple of exceptions here. Harry's shirt looks a little bit wrinkly here, especially down by the belly area. I would give that a pass if it just looked like it was tucked in a little bit neater. It just looks like kind of haphazardly tucked in. I think he could have straightened that out just a tad, make it look even more polished. That would have been nice. The jacket itself looks to be maybe a tiny bit too big, but just a little. It particularly looks a little bit bulky around his midsection, like below the chest area. It could just be the design elements of the coat. It looks to have some extra feature like seams and whatnot right around this area, but it's just looking a little bulkier. If he didn't have it tailored, that could also be the problem here, that it's just a little too roomy right there. The blue was nice though. All the time he shows up in gray or just white or just black and white. So having a bit of blue in there was a really nice idea. It brightens him up a little bit, makes him look a little less gloomy. That's a positive. I'm glad he didn't bust out his go-to tan blazer. That particular blazer looks a little too small, so that one looks like it doesn't quite have enough room for him. A lot of people online think it's a woman's blazer. I don't think it is. I think it's a men's blazer still. It just doesn't fit him very well. And so I'm glad he didn't pull that one out for the arrival. At least he wore something blue here. That's good. He did pull out the tan blazer. Next. As far as Meghan Markle's outfit and overall look here, it is so much better than usual. This is actually helping offer her silhouette some degree of balance. And that is one of the main problems Meghan has. She rarely balances out her silhouette and her style concerns. She rarely addresses them in her outfits. In fact, she often accentuates her style concerns more, magnifying the fact that she doesn't have a well-defined waist, a square boxy torso, a short torso, long lanky limbs, and broad shoulders is something she often leans into in all elements of her dressing. So it was really nice to see an outfit on her that brings some balance to those style challenges. Despite this still being very shoulder heavy and accentuating the shoulders rather dramatically, this is certainly one of her better outfits. You cannot deny that she does look more polished and put together here. But let's break this down and take a look at why this outfit is helping to balance her out. But first, just acknowledge this poor choice of bag. She's wearing an all dark outfit. It looks to be a really dark navy top and trouser with what looks like a black suede shoe. She really should have gone for a black handbag or something smaller at least. If it wasn't gonna match, something smaller would have been better. This white bag has ruined the styling approach to this outfit completely, so that's disappointing. Getting that out of the way, let's look at the rest of the outfit. This is a Veronica Beard top with straight leg trousers. They look really similar to these Givenchy trousers that were one of her absolute best. This Givenchy suit was very well balanced to her and tailored properly. These straight leg trousers are really, really helpful to balance her body type and prevent her legs from looking too twiggy. It really helps to balance out the broader shoulders and the wider waist and torso when you're not wearing super skinny or super oversized trousers. So for her, these straight leg that have a bit of room prevents it from accentuating the thinness of her limbs, which then makes the broader torso and shoulder look even more exaggerated. These are the perfect fit of trouser, perfect hem. The vest here also offers some complementary features for her silhouette and aiming to balance that out a bit. It has this bit of flare at the hip you can see, which helps to balance out the wider torso, adding a little bit of width to her hip, making it look like her shoulders and hips are more balanced than they really are. In reality, her hips are a little bit more narrow than her shoulder, so adding a little bit of volume right at the hip like this really helps to balance that feature out. It also helps to reduce attention to the lack of a well-defined waist. Also, you'll notice the length of the top comes down to that hip area where the legs are beginning, and that helps to elongate the torso, drawing attention away from the fact that she does have a short torso, so that also helps. I also like the fact that it has buttons running down the front that are really eye-catching here. This helps to encourage a vertical line. It helps to draw the eye away from the shoulder line and rest there at the buttons. Her hair tied back, really sleek here, is a smart choice. With this collar here, you do not want your hair down and crowding the area. Her neck does look shorter here due to that collar. Having the hair down and that collar, it would have made it look like she had no neck. So this was a good choice to tie the hair back. The makeup seems okay. Definitely she has eased up on the eyebrows. She has calmed her eyebrows back down to normal, which is a relief to many people here. So although this outfit is still shoulder heavy and the eye is drawn to them, we do have good balance brought out. Remember, we can't balance out every single style concern in every single outfit. Sometimes we are aiming to just balance out a couple of those style concerns, and maybe one or two of our style concerns will be showcased more or not sort of adequately addressed in our outfit, so to speak. And this is a good example of that. She didn't necessarily address the broad shoulders perfectly, but she did make some degree of an effort that helped some. My point being, this outfit would have been best or ideal for her if it had sleeves, like short sleeves or elbow length sleeves instead of the halter style. Without exposed shoulders, this would have looked perfectly balanced. It would have been a perfectly beautiful outfit for her. It would have been stunning. A masterclass in balancing out her style concerns. It having the exposed shoulders, not ideal, but it does have other things going for it that address all of her other style concerns. So let's take a closer look at that. Her broad shoulders are balanced at least somewhat by the flare at the hip. Her short torso is elongated with the top length, and the vertical buttons even help with that. Overall, her frame is elongated and slenderized, it being a monochrome look. Her lanky and long limbs are balanced out with the straight leg trouser, having just enough volume to them to balance out her frame. And her lack of a well-defined waist is addressed in this outfit by creating that mild silhouette leaning towards hourglass just ever so slightly by the broader shoulder line, and that flare of the hip is in contrast, making the waist look ever so slightly more well-defined than it is. The only thing not quite making the cut is how intense the shoulders and arms feature in this outfit, but the rest is great, so it should be considered a win for Meghan Markle when it comes to style. Now, as far as it not being a Colombian designer and this being their arrival to the country, that was a miss, culturally speaking, a little bit tone deaf. It is unfortunate because the arrival to the country is really the best opportunity to engage the tactic of reflecting a country's traditional dress, the colors of the flag, or wearing a designer from the country would be most impactful and most appropriate for your arrival for two reasons. Firstly, because you're arriving there, so you're kicking off on the right foot, getting off to a good start, showing respect and appreciation for a local designer or something that echoes the country in some way, whether it be traditional dress, colors of the flags, even just having a national flower embroidered or a brooch with the national flower, like even little things like that. The other part of it has more to do with PR. Because your arrival is the first thing and usually the most heavily publicized, all the news articles are running with "they've arrived in the country," but also because the whole rest of your visit, a lot of the publications are going to use these pictures from your arrival for the picture on the top of their news article for their headlines. It's the most photographed occasion typically on a trip is the arrival, and it's the pictures that are going to be circulating in the media for the longest duration of time and dominating the pictures shown from your trip. So that's another reason why it's really advantageous to go for a local designer or something of that nature for that first visit, for the arrival day, because then the majority of the pictures published in news articles are going to feature that Colombian designer or, whatever country it is. So she missed the opportunity there. So while this particular outfit did give a more polished presentation, there is a big etiquette fail across this outfit and the next one we're going to discuss, and many of the outfits that Meghan has been wearing lately. When you are meeting people and it's meant to be a relatively professional occasion, and make no mistake, this particular trip, these outings are meant to be more professional in tone. It is best etiquette, most appropriate for you, for everyone involved, most comfortable, for you to have some degree of sleeve. They can be short sleeves or elbow length, just not cap sleeves or sleeveless. And the reason is because when you're greeting people, perhaps taking pictures, you're not subjecting them to touch your bare shoulders or back. Now, in our private lives and day-to-day, this does not matter. But in professional capacities, it is basic manners. Touching bare upper arms, regardless of the culture. In some cultures, it would be very, very, intense and not considered appropriate or acceptable at all. But in many cultures, it's more so just feels a little forward to be touching bare upper arms. It feels a little intimate for meeting strangers and for business settings. It's just not ideal. And so for her to be greeting people in these sorts of very sleeveless, sometimes very thin straps or cutouts and high slits, it just doesn't suit the occasion well. And that's a big part of why her outfits read really weird. Is it the worst thing? No. But it does diminish her otherwise really polished outfit. And it does take points off, so to speak. So next we have a Colombian designer here, which was a good choice. It is a Johanna Ortiz dress again. And yes, this is the same dress that she has in 2 different colors. She wore the gold version for her fake New York City car chase, which was disastrous PR, terrible, terrible time. I'll link the videos to that here and in the description box if you've ever missed that. And this black and white palm print dress from Nigeria. The black and white palm print dress looked to be slightly different in its cut, its hemline, as well as the fabric choice, because it had a lot better flow. It laid a lot less heavy. While this one reminds me a lot more of the gold one in that it has a very stiff, heavy lay to the skirt portion especially. It just weighs down the whole look. It's really bulky and clunky down at the bottom. The silhouette looks really clunky and rectangular, like just a big rectangle hanging down off her boxy torso. It's not ideal. It needs a better flow and softness to it for Meghan Markle. Because she has a boxy, more rectangular frame, softer elements to design, whether that be fabric or silhouette and cut of the dress itself, really help to bring balance to her overall silhouette. So it can come in different forms. Like I said, it can come with fabric choice, just choosing softer fabrics that have a bit of a flow to it, that move more gracefully. But it can also come in the form of pattern. For example, this palm print dress had a lot of diagonals and curved lines, creating a little bit more of a soft appearance to the fabric itself because it had those lines in a softer pattern. Whereas this one and the gold one are very, very linear. So it really brings out and accentuates the boxiness of the silhouette and thus, by proxy, her body type. So rather than balancing out her body type with some degree of softness, this one and the gold one really accentuate her boxier body type and wider waistline. Utilizing softness to help balance her body type with things that have more flow to them and move more gracefully, don't hang so stiff, really help to complement her silhouette, bringing in those softer visuals to contrast her straight boxy figure. So this one was not as successful, despite neither of them being appropriate for the occasion. I would say that the palm print one was the most successful of the options, but neither of these two were appropriate for the occasion. Having something with a high slit, as we have discussed, just doesn't suit these sorts of situations. This looks like resort wear, vacation dress, private capacity. And yes, they are here in a private capacity, but they're trying to make it about Archwell and philanthropy. So she needed to be dressed more professionally and wear things that don't have high slits and cutouts, because that just screams casual. I would give this dress a pass for being a Colombian designer if it weren't for the cutout, high slit, and spaghetti strap situation. She really just needs to stop picking stuff like this. This isn't date night, and they've chosen to publicize this trip. Choosing to inform the press and make it something that skews professional by incorporating Archwell under the pretense that it's a professional situation, done so for charitable work, that this trip is to back up professional capacities, then you need to be dressing professionally, especially to be taken seriously. I mean, hello. It is not rocket science. This is a vacation dress. And for those who may say, well, perhaps this event it was appropriate or more private, and other events like a panel discussion were the professional capacity, it matters not. If you're publicizing the trip and you're going there for the entire trip, the whole time needs to be dressed appropriately and professionally. A private day where you're just staying at your hotel or wherever it is and you're not holding any events, wear whatever you want. If you get paparazzi shots taken of you or something, you're not at some sort of engagement or event that day. This was a publicized event, and she chose to wear something not professional. So it really diminishes their presence when they are consistently wearing things or doing things that make them look less professional. On top of all that, this dress itself brings forth her boxy figure. It hangs heavy, square, and stiff, so it wasn't flattering anyway. I do like the pattern of it though, and I think the colors are really pretty, so I like those elements of it. And it would be fine if it were a private engagement. I don't particularly love this style of shoe. We know Meghan Markle has difficulty walking in heels as it is. She looks pretty awkward and kind of gangly when she is walking around in video. Just observations here. And this shoe, this particular style of shoe, is really difficult to walk in on its own, even for supermodels, because they don't wrap around the foot the way normal high heels do, and they don't have straps. And I wouldn't recommend straps with the length of this hemline anyway. That would be a travesty. But wearing shoes that you can't walk in properly is going to make you look silly and amateurish. And that's exactly what happened here. These look silly. The bust also on this dress, as I'm looking at more pictures, also seems to be sitting really low. Maybe she does have a lower set bust naturally, but this gives the impression that the straps needed to be shortened the way this looks here. It looks like it doesn't fit her properly, particularly in the bust area. So it's another case of not tailoring the item. I think that if her necklace hung a bit lower, it would have helped to break up the distance here. But ultimately, regardless, the neckline just needed to be brought up a little bit more to make it look right. Okay, it's time for the most shocking and tragic outfit. This is horrible. I can't even. What? She wore lounge pants, like pajama bottoms, basically. House trousers, something that is not meant to be worn outside the home or like poolside. These are jams is what these look like. This is not acceptable, and they are on the website marketed as lounge pants. That means you wear them to lounge in at home. What? This is atrocious. What is happening? Firstly, these two colors of brown in their respective style or finish style of fabric do not go together. They do not match. They are clashing both in the texture and in the color. Satin is really loud to the eye. It's shiny. So you have to be really careful what you pair with it. It needs to be an exact match in the same level of shine, or you have to be so careful. It is really challenging to pair up a satin separate with something else that didn't like come with it in a matching set. It's very difficult. Whatever you pair with something shiny and satiny needs to not compete with it. It needs to be complementary to it. And this top is competing with it because it has a little bit of a level of shine to it and is a much more warm tone, a little bit lighter in tone, while the satin pajama pants are a slightly more neutral brown, a little bit less orange to that base. It's just not working together or alone. This is one of her worst outfits ever. What is happening? Why did she decide to wear pajama pants out of the house? These are tragic. This is an absolute, complete, and utter fail that the Meg has assaulted our eyes with here. This is awful. The top on its own looks like it's fitting nicely enough. You know, it fits the shoulder line okay, it would seem. So I think it would have been fine with some regular straight leg trousers, like in maybe a cream color or something. If she could find something that either matches the top perfectly or is maybe sort of cream, she could have gotten away with it. If they were the same fit as the navy trousers she had on earlier in this day, she could have created a nice monochrome look. I would have preferred it to not be brown, but if she was stuck on wearing this shirt, cream probably would have been okay. But the silk lounge pants are a massive crime. They have no place in a professional capacity in a panel discussion such as this. They are not designed to be out of the house. They look so sloppy. It's almost gross. It's hilariously off base. What was she thinking? How out of touch can you be? They're also really, really wrinkled, so satin trousers would be a bad choice, even if they were like designed to be worn out of the house, or a satin skirt would have been a bad choice no matter what, because it's going to wrinkle a lot more than other heavier weight fabrics or just wrinkle resistant type fabrics. Satin's going to wrinkle up really badly, and as you can see, there's tons of wrinkles here. They're just making her look awful. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be harsh here, but these trousers are horrendous. I can't understand what she was thinking. I can't. wrap my head around this. Why you would say like, yes, this is acceptable to wear out of the house. No, firstly, they have an elastic band. Elastic band trousers at a professional discussion? Who does this? If you're gonna wear elastic band, okay, there are times where you may gravitate towards an elastic band for practical reasons, for comfort, for size and fitting issues, to prevent a cut in from the trousers, you know, if you need to get some flexibility in the size of the waistband, lots and lots of reasons. But you hide it. You hide it like your life depends on it. Don't let anybody see that you're wearing elastic band trousers, especially not if you're going to be up on stage getting photographed. Just don't do it, please. It is a literal fashion crime, disaster, travesty. Do not show off elastic band trousers. Just don't do it. Moving on. They are placed lower on her hips, and as we've discussed, lower rise trousers are better for Meghan Markle to not eat up her torso and make it look like her pants are hiked up to her boobs. That part of it, fine, but these trousers are not designed to be worn that way. So they are giving the appearance of this drop crotch situation, which is not attractive. They're actually designed to be worn higher up, closer to a natural waist, above the hip bones. But she's got them down here around the very bottom of her hip bones. It looks like they're falling down. So they're meant to be a higher rise fit because you can see the crotch is hanging so low. So you know that's the giveaway that they're meant to be held up, worn up higher. So she has a saggy crotch, elastic band on show, wrinkles, clashing colors, and on top of it all, because they're a silky, satiny fabric, you can actually see where the shirt that's tucked into the pants, the bottom of the shirt is. So it's adding a bunch of weird clutter and lines around her crotch region. Thank goodness we can't see it from the back because it would have been incredibly unflattering, I am sure. I'm embarrassed for her, or at least I would be if she wasn't so rude all the time. This is just an unflattering outfit, completely inappropriate and tone deaf to wear it for a panel situation, for anything where you're going to be photographed. This is just a nightmare. This is a nightmare. It makes it look like she doesn't know what she's doing. It's totally C team, completely amateur. It's not even B team. Doesn't even make the cut to qualify for B team here. It's complete C team. This is bad. This is horrible. Look, we all make mistakes from time to time, but when you're dressing poorly for something like a job interview, a presentation, meeting a new boss, meeting your kids' teachers, anything, you know, you're interviewing for something, applying for something, it doesn't matter. If you're giving off a sloppy first impression like this, it reads really badly. It goes far beyond your outfit. Your outfit offers whomever you're around information about you in general. Beyond that moment, people infer lots and lots from your outfits. Like, how much prep did you put into today to showing up here? How much time did you give yourself to get ready? Do you have your shit together? Have you presented yourself well? Have you thought about and planned ahead enough to have clean clothes that fit you well and are ironed? Do you understand the situation? Do you read the social temperature of wherever you're going to be? Are you self-aware enough to dress appropriately for the occasion and so forth? How are your social skills? It's like a window into what else is going on with you, with this person, besides what they're doing and saying in front of you right now. How they're dressing gives more clues to what else is going on, the bigger picture of the person. And we do this without realizing it. We subconsciously take in this information and start to make inferences, or some people say judgments. I think judgment gets a really bad rep. Yes, you shouldn't just judge people willy-nilly, but we do make intelligent judgments about people, hypotheses, if you will, based on how they're presenting themselves or certain other red flags, how they conduct themselves, all these sorts of things, their body language. We read into it for a reason. It's all evolutionary to sort of gauge people, whether they're safe or not, whether we can trust them or not. We make a lot of these split-second judgments without even realizing it, and they're not always wrong, and they're certainly not always a bad thing. In some cases, what they're wearing and how they're presenting themselves gives us the most clues into what this person is actually like in real life or behind the scenes. This outfit could be a literal PSA for what not to do if you want to leave a good impression and seem socially capable. Whew! This outfit was an absolute doozy, one of the worst I've ever seen her in. As for the hair and makeup, it seems fine. I quite like her hair back in a ponytail like this. It could have maybe been a little cleaner, but ultimately I think this hairstyle was really nice. I have no idea what's happening with the shoes, thank goodness. I don't think I could take any more. of this outfit, it needs to go. The necklace was a poor choice for this outfit because it aligns with the collar right here, so it's just adding clutter here. Doesn't need to. Something daintier and smaller at this length would have been fine. Something like a micro jewelry type situation, or something that landed just a little lower, sort of in the middle of the collarbone to where her shirt was buttoned. You want to kind of land your necklace in the middle of that, especially if you have a collar to your shirt. It's not like a hard and fast rule, just generally kind of a good place to start, or like a loose guideline. But we're going to be taking a look at more of her fashion choices, mistakes coming up. Hopefully this is the worst of the worst. It seemed to get worse and worse as the day went on. It was rough end to day one in terms of outfits. We also have a couple of videos coming out reacting to the various situations going on their trip in Colombia. So be sure you're subscribed so you do not miss any of these updates. I'll be trying to put out shorter videos a little more frequently on this so I can try to get them out a little faster for you guys, because as you know, if you've been here for a while, you know I am a slowpoke when it comes to getting this stuff out. Leave it in the comments what you thought of these outfits and the start to their Colombia trip. Publicized vacations. It's a new thing, apparently. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video, and it is time for question of the day, but today it's more of just a comment. Laura says, I think Meghan is pulling Harry's strings. She never wants to go back to the UK, so she's telling Harry that they need constant armed protection or they won't go. Harry is running with the story, and Meghan Markle is fueling the fire, making Harold feel more and more ostracized. This comment was made on the video where we discussed Harry sort of blaming his rift on the royal family on the security situation, and thinking that the king should just fix it for him so that he can start to make nice with the royal family again or something like that. I'll link that video for you here or in the description box. I think most people would agree that this makes a lot of sense. It is a tactic that a lot of us would recognize if we've dealt with toxic people or those higher in narcissism. It's a really manipulative approach in which there's no way to make a situation work. These types of people make it so difficult to work something out or find a solution. They just keep coming up with more and more reasons and more excuses why, well, now this is a problem. As soon as you solve that, then there's another problem. And then it's this and that and the other thing. And a lot of people recognize this pattern in what's going on with Harry and Meghan and traveling back to the UK. Meghan Markle just keeps coming up with new excuses to put off returning to the UK, probably because she knows she will be booed heavily and doesn't want to put up with that. The ego can't handle it. But also a lot of people think that this looks like a really big power play, particularly on Meghan's part, that it's sort of a bargaining chip within the relationship, within the feud with the royal family, well, really rift with the royal family that was solely one-sided, Harry and Meghan doing all of it. The theory is that Meghan claims they can't tell Ravik a month ahead of time, which is what was requested in order to evaluate whether or not they deserve or need police armed protection while they're on their visit. Meghan allegedly tells Harry that we can't give them 28 days notice because our visit will be leaked and that will put us at greater risk. But they also can't just pop over and do a surprise visit because then they won't have armed protection. And apparently that's Harry and Meghan's biggest desire. The biggest fish they have to fry is that their personal protection, their bodyguards, are not allowed to carry guns in the UK. And Harry and Meghan feel that it is of the utmost importance that their security is toting weaponry. That's what this all really comes down to. Ugh, as if they're important enough to need such things. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Have a happy day, everybody. Bye.